Podcast Detroit, recording live. Prepare yourself for a hoppy drive. If you're chilling at home, pop that growler and just kick back for the next 2 hours. It's the end of the week, so here's to the weekend. It's Better on Draft with Rob, Matt, Nick, and Ken.
And we are live, episode 147, Better on Draft podcast, back in Royal Oak. My name is Ken, and we do have a very full studio today. Let's start right to my right on mic number 8. Nick, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
It is Friday. I am so glad that the work week is over.
Me too.
And it's not because my bachelor party is tomorrow.
It is. Hopefully you will be sober-ish.
Yeah, well, after the...
Can I read the rules?
No. After this week, I probably will be drunk. I'll be honest.
The rules. Do not get him blitzed. That was the rule.
No, don't get him drunk. On Friday is what the rule said.
I said Saturday. I fixed that.
Saturday.
Nick, what are you drinking?
I'm starting out with a morning wood stout from Oddside. And then what is this goodness that's being passed around here?
Pontoon Pale Ale by Kickstand.
Oh, we're gonna try
Pontoon
that
Pale Ale by
Pontoon
Kickstand.
Pale Ale.
Somebody wants to pour me a little shot glass. I'd appreciate it
Well,
very
that's
much.
good.
Shot.
Good.
Yep, there you go. That's good.
You still doing the keto thing?
Still doing the keto thing. I'm down. I'm still down 35 pounds. I've kind of leveled out a little
Awesome.
bit, but I haven't gained anything back. So that's the start. So definitely, I think starting to look into what the metrics are in regards to my caloric intake, making sure I'm not overeating or undereating. It's one of those things to where you have to be so strict on it, and I have to just actually start paying attention now instead of just eating a lot of meat. Matt, what are you drinking? Just the Pontoon?
Yeah. So I also have a
Usual.
PBR per usual, and as always, the Diet Verners.
The Diet
I think
Verners.
Burners.
I think we have to strive for the sponsorship.
Well-
I could get a troll tattoo.
I mean, I keep trying to hit him on Instagram, and I'm not getting any responses at all. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed right now.
So we also have Rob, which I've already unmuted you. How you doing today?
Hey,
You
appreciate
got
that.
muted?
He's unmuted, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
I had everyone muted before the show started because I don't trust you, Matt. So I don't have anyone unmuted.
Decent week, very, very busy, and just every day being nonstop. And
You look a
pretty
little
much,
bit grayer than usual. Are you just like letting it grow out, or
I think it's just
are you turning?
I think I'm just turning. I don't know. It's just every day that I felt like this was the day that I was going to
Are
shave.
you going full Blanta on us this fall?
I hope not.
You could be Blanta. Can you grow it like
Yeah.
down, or is it just stick around your face?
No, I think it's just this, and it's just it. I've never really let it grow, much further than this. So I don't know if it will just go straight
Are
down.
you follically challenged like me, where it just kind of like becomes pubes right in your mouth?
Very much the latter. I don't let it go. Yeah, it's just pretty much it gets to a point where it's like, all right, yeah, it's got to go. So it'll probably come next week. I mean, I would say at least for trying to look good for the 3-year anniversary. At least try and clean up a little bit.
That's in a couple weeks, right?
It is
3 weeks.
It is
Shout out, Dina. You deal with this guy for 3 years now,
right.
and you're the one turning gray.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, boy.
But I am pretty much. I figured I would start the day by just triple fisting because I really don't give a fuck right now. So I've got the Pontoon Pale Ale from Kickstand, Castle Bright's Apricot Ale from Dragon Mead, and a little bit of Superstition Meadery's Peanut Butter Jelly Crime.
Peanut butter.
All right.
Yeah.
Does it say I'm gonna crumb? I'm gonna crumb. I'm gonna crumb.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
He should get muted for that.
I didn't have the power last week, and it kind of felt like I was so powerless that I couldn't mute you. But now I can, and I just don't want to right now.
Someone's lazy right now.
A little bit. We're obviously trying to get more people into the video to start watching what we're doing here. But we do have some guests here today in studio, all the way from Commerce, Michigan. Why don't we start with you? Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Andres Zukovs. I'm the GM of Kickstand Brewing Company.
GM of the Kickstand Brewing Company. And next to you?
I'm Mike Bardalis. I'm the brewer at Kickstand.
I could tell by the mustache. It was the giveaway.
Dude, we almost hired him based solely on those handlebars.
I wouldn't blame you.
How much
do you
wax do you put onto it?
Well, no, I think he's probably got to wear like a mouth guard or something just to make sure that the hair follicles don't fall into the beer. Or is that the secret ingredient for Kickstand?
Could be.
Could be.
Could very well be.
So
I
the
still
brewer.
want to know the wax question. You put a lot of wax in that thing?
It's the only way this works.
Okay.
So as the GM, are you part owner, just manager, managing partner? What is your full position there?
So as general manager, I pretty much oversee everything that goes on with the joint. Scott and Brendan, they're the two owners. The three of us actually worked together several years ago. I was actually their boss. They had this idea, you know. They said, hey, we like brewing beer. We think we're pretty good at it. You know, we want to open up a brewery. You know, they liked how I was. They liked how I ran the joint, my philosophies and all that sort of thing. And they asked me to come be a part of it and team up with them. So the three of us sat down. We talked business plan, you know, we talked goals, that sort of thing. Everything lined up very well for us. And I said, okay, well, now the important part, let me try your beer because it might suck. So went to their house, tried their beer, and I was like, I'm in. Let's go. Full steam ahead. So here we are a few years later, and boom, we're rocking.
So when did you guys actually start?
We opened the doors January of 2016.
Okay. And when did you actually start before you opened the doors? Like how
May
long did-
2015.
Now,
Well, that's when we got the building, right?
Okay.
But all plans started going in motion in 2013, really.
okay. Now, as far like, were you brewing beer like on for production before you got the building, or was it
No.
get the building, put in the fermenters, and start making beer?
Yeah, there was, before that it was just out of the garage, We at the time, like I said, we all worked together at a place, and I've run bars and restaurants for years, but I'd never run a brewery, So I said, okay, well, if this is our plan going forward, I really want to learn more about the brewing business itself, right? So I took a job at Detroit Beer Company, downtown Detroit.
Sure.
I went there. I was like, hey, I'm gonna rock out here. I'm gonna give you everything I got. I'm gonna learn everything I can. Give you 2.5, 3 years of my life, and then I'm gonna open up a brewery. And they were probably like, yeah, sure, whatever, guy. And did my 2.5 years, and boom.
Did you work with Justin over there? at
Absolutely,
DBC?
Bubsy, yeah.
You excited for him because they're opening up over in Rosedale?
Yeah, I actually just had dinner with Chef Derek, one of his partners,
Oh, awesome!
2 nights ago. Yeah, those guys are going to do awesome things over there. All three of them, Josh and Bubsy and Derek, they're amazing at what they do.
Bubsy is Justin.
Yes, sorry.
That's it's new to us. We'll make sure to call him that the next time that we see him.
No. Now, how was the process with Commerce, the county of Oakland, jumping through all the hoops and getting the, brewing license and all that, fun stuff that breweries need to do?
The city, the county, they were pretty good to us. They were welcoming. They really liked the idea. The federal government, on the other hand, that was a lot of hoops.
There's one of those?
It turns out the amount of hoops we had to jump through and the waiting, and it was pretty miserable, to be honest with you. I never want to relive that ever again in my life. But for the most part, it was relatively smooth sailing, at least comparatively when you look at what so many other places are dealing with when they're trying to start up places.
Yep.
We had a pretty smooth go of it, thank God for that. So
Now, did you pick Commerce because that's where you're from, or was there another story behind Commerce?
that was kind of a bonus. We looked at a lot of different locations all over the place, and that was everything kind of added up for us. We saw a ton of traffic in that area. Our intersection sees 30,000 cars a day. That's, I guess in the big picture of a big city, that's not a lot, but I mean, for a city like Commerce, that's a lot. And obviously financially it made a lot of sense for us. The size, it was really, really good for us. We had the freedom to do whatever we wanted with the space. And that was really what it boiled down to, give this young man a ton of room to work with.
Well, speaking of this young man, how long have you been brewing beer, like physically putting beer together?
30 years.
Okay. Do you still remember the first batch of beer you brewed, or was it that many beers ago?
Of course. Yeah.
Was it one of those box all grain kits, or was it something you fumbled together in a bathtub?
Kits weren't a thing 30 years ago. Basically, it was the dark days. Actually, the dark days were the light days. And if you wanted to have beer that tasted like something, you made it for yourself.
So what did this first beer that you ever made taste like? Do you remember? Was it like wallpaper paste? Or
I can piece it together. It was probably a
Cardboard
fairly stale tasting pale ale.
Okay.
No,
What was it?
We've made progress since.
I know, that's what you said that, and I'm like, all right, let's taste this beer. Let's see, because I haven't had a chance to drink it
You
yet.
have another one.
So this is the Pontoon
Pale ale.
Pale Ale. What's going into this beer? What kind of hops? What kind of malts?
well,
What can
this
you
is
tell us
this
without-
is really mostly about the hops. An American pale ale. There's a couple of different varieties of crystal malts in there to give it color and a little bit of residual sweetness and body. It's about a 5% beer, so in order to kind of pump up the malt heft, a little bit of crystal malt helps with that.
No, I guess maybe from a brewer's perspective, do you think 5.5 is the new norm, or 5 to 5.5 is the new normal? Because it seems like everything, like all the new beers coming out, they shoot for 5. It seems like that's like kind of the yard marker these days. Everybody wants a 5 and 5, 5.25, 5.5, and that's their.
That's traditionally been the strength of beer, 5% by volume. And when you hear a lot of discussions about, back in the day it was 4%.
3.2s, those were really common in a lot of weird places.
Yeah,
like
that's
Ohio,
pretty
Utah.
close to 5% beer because the 3.2 is by weight,
Okay.
and alcohol weighs 80% of water. So 4% by weight is 5% by volume. So a lot of the discussion back in the day about whose beer was stronger, and a lot of the beers, they didn't say on the label what the strength was. Mm-hmm. But part of the confusion in there is that if one brewer says their beer is 4% by weight and another one says it's 5% by volume, they're the same. Huh. Now, that being said, 5% by volume is pretty much standard normal strength beer and always has been, by and large.
So, when you started drinking or making beer, when was the first time you made a beer that you said, I could do this professionally, or not as just some way to not have to buy a macro lager? Was it shortly thereafter you made your first beer, or did it take you a few runs?
Well, the first beer was definitely an eye-opening experience, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I could go downstairs and grab a beer that I made for myself, and I felt pretty wealthy. So, as far as the quality
That's an amazing way to put that.
So you weren't putting like a clothespin on your nose to drink it?
No. Now, there were a couple of hiccups along the way, but no, generally, it's cooking.
Sure.
Pay attention to what you're doing, and
Portion out everything.
But I think, isn't it more like baking than actually cooking, though?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Because isn't everything about timing even more important? Like in
And
baking?
ratios?
No,
No, you don't think so.
And with baking, measuring is important. Timing is super important. That's where you've got to be precise. You should weigh your ingredients instead of measure them by volume, so on and so forth. And the difference between doing it right and doing it wrong sometimes is, instead of a souffle, a hockey puck, for example. And one is really not as good as the other. With beer, you might get something, you might not get the beer you intended, but you get beer, and it's probably just fine. Mm-hmm. It maybe isn't exactly the color you intended, may not be as bitter as you intended, but it'll be pretty good.
But isn't the whole beer's like pizza, where if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's still kind of good?
No, if it's bad,
There's some real bad beers.
pizzas.
if it's bad, it's PTSD material.
You've never had a bad pizza? Like a bad, like I'm not going to even finish this slice pizza?
When they put like pineapple on it.
Well, that's a topping.
that's-
that's not
yeah.
really the pizza.
Yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
actual
The
pizza.
I don't
That's
know if
not
I've
the-
ever
Like the
been.
dough is bad, or they didn't put enough sauce or cheese on it. Like
Usually when I'm eating when I'm eating bad pizza, I'm drunk enough to where it's just cheeseburger at some point.
Oh gosh.
I mean, even like, see, for me, and when we're talking like pizza and stuff, everyone talks about bad pizza. Like they'll always call out Little Caesars, and I'm like, Little Caesars is not
Hot
bad.
and steady.
Yeah, it's it's Little Caesars, to be honest, is kind of like a Bud Light or Budweiser of pizza because it's going to be consistent no matter where you eat it, no matter just like Budweiser, it's going to be the consistent exact same beer no matter where you
And
drink
it's
it.
better the more you drink.
But yeah, I guess so.
that is true.
I don't know if I've ever.
I'm not there.
Oh,
Definitely.
I'm not even. Yeah, we're not even in the same.
No,
boat on that. No.
You're at a complete disagreement.
are you pizza bougie over here?
I'm not pizza bougie, but I mean,
you must go to Supino's all the time.
I'm definitely pizza bougie for sure.
well, maybe. I do love some Supino.
Supino's is good.
It's very tempting when you're at Easter Market Brewing every Wednesday,
and then you see
it's
Supino's
2 blocks away.
Yeah.
They sell it by the
it's
slice.
Yeah.
I just the hell with it. Just give me a 12-inch Bismarck, and I'm good.
Oh yeah.
Love the Bismarck.
Do you guys have a food program there over at Kickstand?
Absolutely. We got an executive chef does amazing things.
Did you start with the food program, or did that come after?
So, yes, we started with a full kitchen, full restaurant, right? That wasn't exactly the intention when we first got going. It was, for sure, we want to be a brewery, but we're also a brewery that has food. Clearly, at this point, our clientele has dictated that we are a restaurant that has real good beer. They come for the food for the most part at this point. And that's not to say that we don't have a ton of great people who are coming in, who just want to sit down and have really good beers, right? You have a lot of the beer trail people who are coming in who are like, this is a brewery, and that's awesome. But as far as the amount of business that we see, the food is taking over a little bit,
I mean, I guess that's not a bad problem to have or a bad issue.
To be honest with you, I feel like that's the future of a lot of breweries, right? Like you have these tap rooms where you serve a lot of good beer and maybe a few snacks, but that only gets you so far, man. Families want to be able to go out. Mom, dad, and the 3 kids, there's nothing wrong with them coming out.
People
They
have
all have a
kids these
great
days?
dinner. Yeah, right.
Oh.
But they have a couple good pints, it's not the end of the world.
Do you guys do like food pairings at all with your menu and the beer at all?
Yes, actually. So when you read our menu down, our entrees, actually we worked very closely with Mike to work on specific pairings for specific dishes. Yes.
Cool. Very cool.
We also do a lot of integration as well. Our chefs do a great job taking different beers that we make and making different dishes out of them.
Okay.
Now, what's the level of shit, I just literally lost my train of thought. Tap rotation.
Have some more PBR.
I'm working on it. So a lot of people come on and say, we hate having the same beer on twice, or we're always doing new styles. Do you have a lineup of steadies that are always going to be on tap, and then a rotation of changers, or is it? Because I can only imagine that you would need to have steady beers on tap for a food program.
Yeah, the lion's share of the beers on tap, we usually have 13 on tap, and of that, 7 or 8 of them are all-the-time beers. Some of them partly because they were supposed to be transients, and our triple is probably the best example.
There were riots.
I did it because when we opened, we opened with 8 beers. And we looked at them and said, okay, well, 2 of these are amber in color. 2 of these are black in color. There's only 1 yellow beer. We need another yellow beer. So I said, all right, I'll make a triple. And it went over pretty big. And then, I went on to the next thing. And there was a decent amount of whining about it. And
I like how he says whining. He's in the back brewing. He doesn't have to deal with these people. I'm out front. I got to deal with them. He says whining.
Is this just the waspy, wealthy Oakland Township people, Oakland County people? Like we want our
well, no, I'm hearing whining from the staff because I'm not hearing it directly.
Sure.
However, I said, okay, I'll put it back in the rotation really fast. And I did. And after it lapsed the next time, there were torches and pitchforks and We said, okay. So that's an all-the-time beer.
And this is the long strange trip. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Coming in.
Does not contain vitamin C, cocaine, or reds.
Do we have that in the cooler?
Actually,
not.
Mike packed the cooler. Let's see what
we
we
don't
got.
because they would have lost it in the cooler or in the brewery if they would have given us any.
Well, we brought 8 different beers.
Oh shit!
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Damn right.
Birch bark porter, yes.
Listen, don't threaten us with a good time now.
All right, Tiffany.
All right, yeah. I think we're all the drunk chick on Rock of Love, apparently. With,
So this is birch bark porter that you're passing around here.
Yep.
Talk
so
about.
I think
talk about this
Matt's
one.
pouring glasses.
Talk about this one while Matt's pouring out here.
This would be considered a robust porter. It's got a lot of specialty malt in it. It's very rich. What we would call the apparent attenuation, you know, the final gravity of the beer versus the original density of it is pretty high. It's in the neighborhood of about 6.4% alcohol.
Ooh,
It's smooth.
this is like a morning coffee almost.
And this is coming from someone who doesn't usually drink dark beer.
I've gotten on it more and more recently.
Have you?
I don't know
So-
what it is.
But this one seems to be tickling your fancy.
See, I remember when I was flying to Germany for my first time.
Yep.
I was reading this magazine and whatever. I was reading all about the beers of Germany, and porter was a beer that I was like, I would really like this because it's supposed to be dark, but light and not viscous. And
Yep.
kind of like a lager, but not like a full stout. But I just never got onto them because Germans don't make porters. But it's a perfect walk from your lager to your stout. Like
Sure.
it's a good stop off. Enjoy the
It's
style.
It's like in the middle of the road kind of.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can do so much with flavoring. Like the birch in here, you taste.
There's no birch.
No trees were harmed in the making of that beer.
I mean, it is
What I'm trying to
Oakland
say-
County.
But the thought is like, it's not like a dark beer flavor. It's got
right.
like medium in the way kind of beer. If that makes any sense, probably
I
not.
think
at
I
all.
get what you're saying.
Like it doesn't taste like a dark beer.
Yes.
It tastes like a flavored, robust beer, if you will.
I like it a lot. This is really. Do we have another open can? I'm about to say I don't want to open up another. Yeah,
So
no.
I guess you have cans on the table. I guess the next question is, do you guys distribute?
Absolutely.
So do you have who do you distribute through?
Imperial.
Okay, and how has that relationship been thus far? Not that not to put you on the spot.
No, it's been good. Our beer's been getting all over the place. I mean, at this point, we're in 360 some odd locations across the state now because of that.
Wow.
Now, are you selling more barrels or your 4-pack cans? Right.
Yes, I definitely say more cans.
In
you see more
straight
turn
up
on
volume, it's kind of hard to
I guess
say.
in volume.
Do you see more turn on barrels versus cans, or
I don't.
I see
Week to week, I don't see it broken out.
Yeah.
Cans versus.
So when I look at the reports that we get, it seems to be more cans at the same places. A lot of reorders.
okay? Like, when did you decide to get into distro? Was it shortly after you started, or was
Oh
it?
no, that was from the beginning.
That was part of the gameplay.
Oh, absolutely. We
But-
came in with
right.
a microbrewery license, not a brew pub license.
That's not very many breweries that we've had on this show or that we've known about have always said that was part of the game plan. That was part of the playbook from the moment the brewery was thought of to opening those doors. I can only recall of maybe like one or two other ones that we've had on the show that's
usually-
been the case.
usually it's-
Roke was one.
was one.
Yeah, Roke, and that's and being honest, that's the only one besides now enter Kickstand into that
Right.
conversation. But yeah, I mean that to be able to do that right off the get go. I mean that's
And with a food program.
And
That's
with
not
a
just
food
It's
program.
not just pizza.
yeah. I'm looking at the photos here. I'm like getting hungry again. Right
I see a lot of tacos.
There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with
There's
tacos.
not yet.
I'm pretty
I'm all
honest.
about
I could
tacos.
tell their social media person
Likes
is
tacos.
very good. No, is very good because all their posts are tacos and dogs. And that's all it is. Not hot dogs.
Did they hire
Like,
Angela in between?
that was my
Shout out, Angela.
thought. My
I miss
thought.
you.
I love that he just said the social media person's good because it's me. My man.
You know exactly the crowd you're looking for.
I appreciate that.
For like, I'm looking at it and see dog, tacos, tacos.
A dog with taco.
Dog, I don't know
That's
if
the
I saw
next one.
Next
There we go.
There you
That's
go.
the next photo
Just
right there,
a
guys.
set of tacos just sitting on the table,
Right
and a
there.
dog just paws up, just like tongue out. Bring your dog,
Right
eat
there,
some tacos.
Right there on Instagram.
Are you guys
folks.
dog friendly, or are these just kind of like employee dogs that show up for work one day?
Unfortunately, we can't just open the doors to have everybody bring their dogs. Obviously, the people that come in and have service dogs, we will more than accommodate that. But,
Sure.
Judy down the street just wants to bring her schnauzer in. Unfortunately, I can't do that.
We're extremely dog friendly. The state of Michigan is not so dog friendly.
Right, that's a very nice way to put that.
It's interesting because there are a lot of what I've been seeing, because I'm inside the restaurant industry that I work in. I'm in point of sale, so I get to travel to like restaurant to restaurant to restaurant, and what I'm seeing is a lot of promotions for what they're calling bark BQs, which are these outdoor patio parties
That's
where
how
all
they
the
get around
dogs
it,
are
yeah.
outside. They're not outside the patio; they're inside the patio with the dogs.
They just don't serve food out there, right?
They do.
What?
Yes.
See, that's interesting.
Yeah, because didn't we had that whole thing?
Oh,
what was that? Was that Witch's
The
I-
Hat?
head of witches, yes.
Yeah.
I know. Talking to the mic, Matt, because you don't.
Witch's hat.
Thank you.
I thought I carried enough.
No, you don't. I don't want to keep yelling at you. Either put your headphones on.
He never has his headphones.
I know, and I
He's
always
been on
have to
this show
yell
for
at
how
him.
long, and he hasn't put
See,
his
I can
headphones
control
on?
his volume and his
He's
volume.
loud.
That's true.
The latest beer guide has an item about exactly all the legal ins and outs of what you can do, and according to that, you can't do shit.
Correct. And there was the issue with, as we mentioned, Witch's Hat got in trouble for having dogs on the patio, I think, or dogs somewhere near.
Yeah, anywhere near food.
Yep.
Where food is served, canines cannot
There
be.
was something fishy with that, though, huh?
That's not something we're gonna bring up
Good talk.
live on air.
Oh boy.
Save all of us from that one. But
don't need
yeah,
to get
so
sued again.
there's a lot of people who are doing these, and especially in very well-known areas, like just down the road, Bigalora does Monday nights. They're a dog-friendly service.
Really?
So on the patio, and they get people. They get like 50 dogs a day.
I bet.
And
I literally heard on the way here in Campus Martius, they're having a Barktoberfest and serving food and beer and dogs. Like
they're
like,
serving
there's-
dogs, or are they giving stuff to the? Are they serving dogs like they serve people, or are they serving dogs as if they're eating the dogs?
Commas are important.
Maybe they're hot dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Syntax is very important in that sentence.
Yeah, we're eating grandma.
Eat shoots and leaves.
But no, I mean, I heard it a radio commercial on the way here that Barktoberfest, beer, food, dogs. So I mean, they're almost like taunting the state, then, aren't they?
Listen, if the state wants to go head up with all the dog lovers, good luck to them at that point, right?
I mean, it is election season, so no one's going to start that fight.
There's a lot of opportunity for a law and order candidate to make hay with this issue. I worked at Grizzly Peak in Ann Arbor for 3 years, and like every place else downtown Ann Arbor, there's sidewalk seating, and inside, behind the bar, there's a stack of dog dishes because people bring their dogs. The dog sits under the table, and they'll run a dish of water out to the dog and let them hang out, and I mean, it might not technically be legal. But until somebody decides to make a stink about it.
Right.
Cited narc on the
So
restaurant.
we did get a question through our chat, actually through a private chat. A lot of people know her. Annette May reached out to us and decided to ask, can you please ask the man with the nice mustache? So I think they're obviously talking to you, sir. Is there any birch bark in the porter?
I think we already addressed that.
We did. She may have joined the conversion late, so that's what happens when it's a live show.
Actually, she's at work right now, so she probably took a moment out of her busy schedule to insert that. Just just to liven things up a little bit.
To be
here.
honest, you know what's crazy is that as much as there's that old, I don't even want to say it's old guard because I want to say it's early aughts and late aughts, early teens. Everyone knows who Annette May is because everyone used to go to Holiday at one point or another in their life, no matter where.
Merchants.
Sorry,
Merchants.
thank you. Yeah, Merchants of Dearborn.
Merchants.
Yes. I would recall, like, I lived in Troy, and as much as I had Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, just south of M59 on Rochester Road, they used to not have singles for the longest time. So when I wanted singles, I would, this was before 8 Degrees. This was before all of these stores who sold. They were the only place that sold singles. Yeah. And I would go there with a cart, come out with $200 worth of singles. And she was always so she had her little office was like in the center of the beer area.
Yep.
So I think everyone has an Annette May story from that time frame, and now everyone knows her because she's obviously a sommelier, what's that? The Cicerone, as well as she's at Schoolcraft College. So I think she's definitely one of the most. I think everyone knows at least who she is, but may not know who she is.
Right.
It's like. When Darude had his interview earlier this year on Vice, he's like, I'm probably the most well-known unknown artist in the world because everyone knows Sandstorm, but nobody knows who I am.
Wouldn't that also go
Poor
for that girl
Darude.
named Angel who does the Heaven song?
That's DJ Sammy.
No, something Angel that made sing the song over DJ Sammy's song.
I don't know. You'd have to get a little bit more in detail.
Sorry.
I'm not a big electronic music fan.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That techno polo that you're wearing says differently.
I guess so. You go see me at White Star over in Hamtramck.
Hamtown.
So
Are we all aware of the connection between him and Annette?
no.
I was kind
Hold
of.
on.
That's his wife.
Well, good thing I said a lot of great things about Annette right there.
Wow.
Needless to say, I have a few stories.
So I don't even know how to finish at this point.
They're like the ultimate beer power
And
couple.
it's
you know what I mean?
Goodness.
speaking of Bubsy, he joined the chat too, so he's in
come
chat right
on.
now. So no, I was unaware that Annette was your wife.
There's a brew dynasty. A breast.
A bit, yeah.
So
Man.
Coming up on 15 years.
oh, okay, congratulations.
Right.
So does she do the wax of the stash, or do you do the? No, okay.
I mostly dress myself.
Mostly. Gotcha. So you guys are not the first brewery in Commerce.
Correct.
That is correct.
Oh, hey now. No.
So
Yeah, about time.
was there a lot of precedent that CJ's was able to set up for you guys to follow, or was it kind of you were on your own and they didn't necessarily help out, or what's the kind of thing? Because obviously you're not that far away from them, so you're getting in their turf, you're getting in their customers, and they're kind of in a over there at least for a while have been it was their own island. They were by themselves. So were they welcoming? Was it not? I mean, you don't have to say they were terrible people if they were. I have nothing against them. I'm just saying, how was it for you entering the business?
To be honest with you, it was kind of a non-factor.
Okay.
We would go in there while we were building the place. Obviously, we got hungry, so we would only go to as many places as we could around the place. We'd stop in there for lunch. I like their food.
Is this the ultimate crab legs place?
Crab legs? You mean I missed a crab legs place while we were building it?
We're talking CJ's Upper Deck.
No.
Is that Waterford? Or is that Common?
No, that's Waterford.
But
Is that
I mean,
Waterford?
I guess as lost as Rob is in Macomb County, I am that in Western Oakland County.
All right.
So I after Elizabeth Lake Road, I don't even know where I'm at. I could be in Kansas.
I've driven by CJ's quite a few times.
So what we got here, real quick to interrupt.
What do you?
The mini growler here.
This guy, this is our 0G. It is a Brute IPA.
Oh, boy. Hand it over.
It's going to be a minute before I get to that one. Matt, you might as well enjoy this because the next beer you have is going to be the punishment beer. So we'll leave that hanging, and I'll tell you right before we go to break what I put in there.
It looks like it's molding on the top.
Yeah, it looks
It's like a green
frightening
foam.
jar, by the way.
Can I hold this up for the camera?
yeah. I mean the camera.
I mean, they can't see. They
sees
can't
it.
see what Matt's talking about.
That really is like I think that's a Like
It's a hazy IPA.
It's a cheese ball that you've like smashed into beer.
It looks like rice for a moment from like a distance.
It's a cheese ball.
It's a cheese ball.
It really
It was a cheese ball.
Can you smell? Like I can smell the beer from here. So I'll
Smells kind of fruity.
I'll tell you what the beer is.
is it summer shandy?
It is natural ice.
Yes.
That is the beer that's in there, and you can see how orange it is right now.
It's because you put a cheese ball in there.
It's not cheese balls at all.
not cheese balls, but one of those like things that you like
Dip with the crackers and
yes,
everything.
one of those-
Yeah. It's like I don't know what it is.
I think they're called like cheese logs, right?
Yeah, something
cheese
like that.
logs.
Cheese
see?
ball. I know what you're talking
So
about.
have you guys been able to do, as we were showing you the French press, any experiments? Have you guys randled anything? Have you guys done any out-of-the-box crazy stuff with your beer in the brewery? He pointed to you.
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question. I don't do anything as a stunt.
Okay.
Everything, there's always an idea. Sometimes the name comes first, but there's always an idea that I'm trying to make. And gimmicks and stunts aren't really what we do.
Oh, I'm
that being
full of
said, we have a giant filter body. Now you're familiar with the Randall.
Yes.
Okay, we had a project where we were approached by ultimately a tire kicking organization that they wanted to private label a beer for their chain, and they came in.
Is that a clue?
They came in. No, well, I mean, what they were doing was kicking tires and not buying.
Oh, gotcha.
They came in, they sampled all of our dozen-plus beers, and then said, "Oh, we just want something like your blonde ale, only different." And these weren't beer people; these were just, the technical term would be jerks.
Does it rhyme with like?
And what they then said was, "We want to try the blonde ale, but could we try like 4 different versions with 4 different dry hops?"
Oh, goodness.
Oh gosh.
And
Does
the
it sound like Schmave and Schmusters?
no, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't rhyme with that in any way. But the blonde ale is a single hop beer with Sriracha Ace, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sriracha Ace, but it's a very distinctive hop variety. It's got sort of a lemongrass character, and it's got this weird sort of dill character. It's very, very distinctive, and it's kind of hard to blend with other hops. It's its own thing, and the whole point of this beer is it's a nice, simple beer that showcases a very interesting, unique hop variety.
Simple though.
Yes.
You know?
So dry hopping it with something else is kind of like pooping on it. And okay, corporate weenies, and
Was it a Schmalde Inn?
it was not. It was
Stop trying to guess and let him tell the story.
Anyway, bottom line is the owners came to me and said, "Oh, you're going to love this. They want this." And I said, "Well, I can't make like 120 barrels of beer when they want 2 half barrels of each one of them." And I thought about it for a while, and I said, "Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll make a regular batch. I'll take the next batch of blonde ale, and I will send it through basically like a Randall."
Infuser almost.
Yeah, but to do a full barrel through there, the Randall wasn't going to cut it. So I found a big filter body, very similar, like one of those ones you would put in your kitchen, except it's about twice as tall. I figured it would hold about a pound of hops, and that would work for 2 half barrels a piece of different varieties. And I said, "Well, this is like granddaddy of Randall. So it's Grendel.
So Grendel, yeah.
It's Grendel, like the mythical ogre.
Thou shalt not
Beowulf.
pass.
It's Gandalf.
Oh, Grandolph.
No,
Grandolph.
Grendel.
I know,
Grendel from
I'm
Beowulf. Yeah.
Relax. I'm trying to be funny.
It's not working.
It ain't working. Ain't working.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, "Well, we'll do this for these people, and then we'll have this thing, and we can do this." So we deploy Grendel periodically, and send a beer through there and infuse different things. And right now, our milk stout is pouring through some coffee beans at the pub, and that's a nice way to get your cold press.
This is, by the way, whatever you just poured,
The brew type.
Zero gravity brewed IPA.
this is amazing.
Awesome. Glad you
This
like
is
it.
like like a session IPA.
Session. Session
Like-
squared.
Okay.
No, like a southeast, or like not a southeast, but like a east southeast. Like it's not a session IPA. It's a little bit, a step down where it's easy drinking with a little bit of.
I agree that it drinks like a
Hops
session.
and-
It's super easy.
So
Oh, is that offensive? I'm sorry.
you think I was sounding like Grandpa Simpson, but now I'm really gonna like go into get off my lawn
Oh, shit, here
mode.
comes
See what you
Smithers.
guys did?
Here comes
Him.
Mr. Burns.
No, it's actually why I brought this beer so that I could get off my lawn. I'm not going to say much about New England IPA, other than I can't wait till it disappears off the face of the earth. And that almost made
Hot take central.
almost made the idea of IPA. It almost killed it because it's not IPA in any way, shape, or form. It's just not. That's not what IPA is. IPA was originally a very pale, very strong, very highly hopped beer. This is virtually none of those things, except there's a lot of hops in it. So anyway, that being said, Brute IPA is like that is the last nail in a deeply buried coffin because it's not IPA. And I don't call this an IPA. Andres did, and I'm going to poke him. But
What would you and your infinite beer wisdom call this?
you could call it a Brute ale for sure, because it is that. It's very dry. It's a very dry ale. The guy who originally cooked this thing up, Kim Sturdivant, out in San Francisco, he looked at the New England IPAs and said, I have some ideas here. This beer is made with an enzyme that basically allows the yeast to eat everything in sight, and you end up with a finishing gravity of the beer basically at or below that of water. Okay, that's why this beer is called Zero Gravity. And it's a very interesting platform for aromatics. Kim Sturdivant loaded it up with Mosaic and Citra and Galaxy and hop varieties like that, and to deliver a lot of aroma with a very light and dry beer base. And I looked at that and I said, well, that's a neat idea. And a brewery here in Howell called Aberrant.
Aberrant, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually picking spruce tips with Adam out in Howell, and he's talking about this beer, and we said, okay, well, when we get done, we're going to go to the brewery. And we get there. It was with a group of other brewers, guys from Batch. They kind of organized it, and we get to the brewery, and it's like 100 degrees. And I'm like, oh, pale ale IPA, we got to drink something. I said, didn't Adam tell us we need to get that zero gravity thing? And that wasn't the name of the beer, but I thought, I guess I got the name for mine.
So we're going to take a quick break, kind of reset. Definitely pour me that beer. Matt, are you ready for your mixer? What's in
always.
there?
Oh, here we go.
There is a bag of hot fries in there. And
Those Andy Caps.
we'll be right back.
Yep.
Better on Draft Podcast. And we are back. Episode 147, Better on Draft Podcast. Before we get into segment 2, we have a new beginning of segment 2, which is the punishment beer.
The Kill Matt
for
Bush.
our fantasy football for 2 weeks in a row. It's been. I guess you got lucky last week,
I was
but
gonna-
I felt a little hurt because I feel like you called me out last
Yeah.
week for such a shitty
It
mixture.
was.
It didn't work.
Yeah, it was terrible. Actually, it was good.
I didn't want to be mean, but
Come on.
All right, so real quick, just to go over the scores for our 4 teams. Ken had the most points this week with 105.9, followed by Nick with 99.7.
Yeah.
Which is, you keep getting these high scores without Todd Gurley. I don't know what the hell's
the
going on.
99.7. It sounds like a country station or something.
Close. I ended up, pretty much in the basement as well with Matt, although I had 71.8 points. Matt had 64.8. Which I really thought I was going to be in the basement because I went into Monday night with only 40 points, having Russell Wilson and Bears defense, which it's pretty stupid.
defense.
Pretty stupid to have your
Well,
quarterback going against your defense, but.
So you know how all those people in the craft beer were like, there's sediment in my beer. I have basically the galaxy of sediment in this beer. If someone want to take I'm going to take a photo.
That is the asteroid belt on the way to Jupiter.
So-
like the universe is on.
Those joining right now.
That's not the
which-
planet it's
which,
on the way to.
By
Yeah,
the
I know.
way,
It just as I
guys,
said it, I was
I
like,
do
shit,
have
I'm
some
wrong.
more if you guys want to take a stab at it too. But this is natural.
It smells of cheese.
natural ice steeped in hot fries.
There's no heat to this. I think the heat's been rendered out.
Probably. I wasn't
Um,
expecting it to be heat. I was just expecting it to be bad.
I'm not mad at it. It tastes like
No way.
it tastes like I'm drinking.
Two in a row.
It tastes like I'm drinking Cheeto beer.
It tastes like you're drinking Cheeto beer.
Cheeto. No.
Just have a sip.
Listen, so how does this work? So does anyone else in the league ever try these things, or just the losers?
No,
So-
the winner picks what the loser drinks.
So
Right.
there's a full league. There's 12 of us in the league.
Yep.
But between the 4 of us, the highest points steeps for the lowest points.
Okay.
Dude, I'm if you were to, I would buy this if you would sell this to me.
Seriously.
So full of
If this was in
shit,
the, if
dude.
this was the, if this was in, this is better than Steel Reserve or
Natty
Natty
Ice with hot fries.
Dude, have a sip. It's not that bad.
I'm taking
It's
the
like-
rest of my beer and I'm going home.
Don't leave.
Well, the whole
please.
it's Dorito beer.
It's
Have a-
Cheeto beer.
No, at least Ranch
the way you
Doritos are
explain
good.
it.
No, just have a sip and you won't hate it. It smells of Dorito.
Oh, he's drinking.
You're full of shit.
You're the one who drank the Labatt Ice cherry once,
No,
didn't he?
you gave it to us.
No, you're the one who said, I had a bad day, I'm going to go buy Labatt
No,
Ice
that's
cherry.
Ice
That was
House.
Ice House.
Whatever.
That was Ice
That was
House,
Ice
yeah.
House.
Moron.
Hey, cheers.
That's all you, bro.
Good lord.
He has zero
no.
facial
No.
like. You guys can see he
How?
has zero facial response to that.
We need like
Like,
another camera, like in this corner.
You're gonna
in case
need
he
something
just-
to wash that down with, babe.
Yeah.
Let's.
I don't think he wants it. I think he's happy with his
Actually,
hot fries beer.
I'm content.
Bring it over here.
I'm not mad. Like, I mean, your beer's better.
Make me
I'll just
throw
put that
up.
out there. But like hot fry daddy, good to go.
So before we go into the news a little bit, we had a question in our chat room while we were on break, and I just removed it. So there we go.
Good job.
I didn't delete it. I accidentally removed the comments from the thing. So we have a fan here, Chris Murray. He says, "Dumb newbie question: Are New England IPAs basically just unfiltered IPAs, and do they have more calories than a normal IPA?"
First off, I want to put this out there. If you're a newbie in craft beer, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Just stupid people asking questions. And you're not a stupid person asking a question.
As far as we know.
No, I mean, the thing is, I'm a newbie still. I think I'm still kind of a novice.
Hell, I think I'm a novice.
I'm definitely a novice.
So, Chris, whatever your last name is,
Murray.
thank you for the question. Don't feel dumb to ask it. Ask more. We want to
Well,
know.
That's a legit question.
That's honest to God why we do this show is to talk to brewers, and throughout the obviously in a couple weeks we're going to have the head brewer of Brew Detroit and the head brewer of Old Nation to come in and do the M43 Detroit versus M43.
so I don't have to go pay for that.
I mean, you should go support them. Travis is our friend, so is Mark, I guess.
Yeah.
Is Mark just a ginger without a soul?
I mean, he's a solid guy. I ran into him at Rochester Taproom this week
They have great tacos.
or last week. Well, I can't eat tacos.
What
lettuce
does that mean? You
tacos?
can't eat tacos.
I mean, I could eat like the
Lettuce
fillings of a
tacos?
taco.
Can you
You
get?
just can't eat the shell.
Can't eat the
No,
shells.
candy shell, not on keto.
That's what keto is. It's literally almost a zero carb diet
pretty much.
because you get all the carbs that you can get from like cheese and meat and
Okay.
like after all of that, even though those are all low carb foods, you're only supposed to have 20 net carbs a day.
A day. Yep.
Okay, this
They're-
is not better on diets. Let's move forward.
So
Better off carbs.
New England IPAs, are they a higher caloric count or are they unfiltered IPAs? Like what is a New England IPA?
Okay.
Because I know how much you like them.
Well, but I can explain the differences though too. And incidentally, when Travis had his success with M43, I definitely punched him in the dick the first time I saw him because the last conversation we had prior to that, that beer coming out was a couple of old men grumping about get off my lawn and kids these days and et cetera, et cetera. And so he's kind of embraced that wave, and that's fine. But anyway, it's just not my thing. But the New England IPAs, so-called, they have a lot of hops, but they're all added very, very late in the process. It's typically added at the end of boil, post-boil, during fermentation, post-fermentation. So it's dry hops. In some cases, they're not even added in the whirlpool per se until they've cooled the wort down. And
So it's more like a show-me beer. There's show-me ingredient.
The goal is to get the aromatics out of the hops, get the oils out without extracting bitterness.
So did you have the original New England IPAs, like I think the Heady Topper, right? Is
Heady
that like the
Topper
first
and Treehouse,
Trillium? Right? Now, did you drink those beers before you had M43?
Yes.
Did you care for those beers before?
No.
Oh, so you were just like not a fan of the style in general.
Somebody gifted us a Heady Topper. They brought it back. I mean, it's one of these cult beers. You had to show up.
Sure.
And,
Right.
Pull your nuts out.
And
say,
yeah. And so here's a can of beer, and it says, "Drink straight from the can." I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm not I'm not a Neanderthal."
You don't know me.
Did you roll the can to make it proper?
So we poured the beer out, and it was pretty sludgy looking, but there was easily a half inch of hop pellet material in the can. I'm like, oh, this beer looks like shit. That's why they want you to drink it out of the can. And, I mean, it does.
So let me ask you a question. There's a new category of beer coming out. It's the slushy beer. Oh. Does that make you crazier, or less crazy than the
You know
New
what?
England IPA?
I don't have to make them, so I don't have to drink them.
All right,
There you go.
fork to your nose, because I'll never put a gun to anybody's head. Would you rather drink a hazy IPA or a slushy beer?
Oh, man.
All right, how about this?
See, this is all you,
Crawl-
man.
You're crawling.
You answer this
You're
question.
crawling through the desert. There's an oasis. It's hazy IPAs and slushy
Poor
beers.
Mike. Yes.
Oh, it's probably the slushy beer, just because I don't that's the devil I don't know, for the most part.
Fair enough.
What we just had at Royal Oak was kind of a slushy beer.
No. I mean, actual. You know those margarita machines?
Set up a beer fest
like
next
Batch
to
is
it,
doing.
like
Yeah,
Stan does it.
I
Yeah.
got batch. Yeah. Well, that's just a name we don't really talk about that much.
That was my people.
Oh, okay. I'm just. So, like, bet. So is that something you approve of then?
I would drink that over the New England IPA. That being
Wow.
said, I'm not crazy about it, but I just crawled across the desert, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I'm thirsty. That's what I want.
See, I do the New England over the
So the
slushy.
New England thing, as it developed, we kept getting, here, try this one, try this whale, I brought it back from wherever. And the best ones are intensely fruity to the point of being cloying and don't taste much like grass clippings. And I just don't, that's not what I'm looking for in a beer. And they all look like garbage.
So do you have a preference between West Coast and East Coast IPAs?
We have our own coast here.
Well, no. I know.
The Great
But
Lakes.
let's get rid of the third coast regionality that we are. Do you prefer a green flash or an East Coast balanced IPA? Like, again, back to you're in a desert, you're walking across, and you see green flash or Maryland IPA. Which
Sip
one
of
are
sunshine.
you? Sip of sunshine. There you go.
Okay, forced choice,
Forced choice.
West Coast.
Okay.
That being said, we're back to why I started brewing. Nothing to drink. What I would rather do is make something I want to drink, because most of the West Coast IPAs I'm not super crazy about either. They can be very harsh, very abrasive. Once you get past a certain dry hop rate, you extract a lot of tannins, polyphenols, other bittering things that make the beer bitter, but not smooth. like the iso alpha acid, but can be a very harsh bitterness. And to me, it's a poor trade-off. More is not always better.
So what is your favorite beer? Like, if you could,
Other than your own.
so if there's,
Oh, he's
Well, wait a minute.
critical of his own.
I make beer for me. So
but for, I mean,
True.
the general public, we have only like 5 followers because we're a struggling podcast. I can't imagine that those 5 people have all been to your shop. But if you, let's imagine that you're watching. Are you a football fan?
no,
Okay, a soccer fan?
No.
Baseball fan?
No.
Do you play sports ball at all?
I'm missing that brain part.
Okay.
Game of Thrones fan.
No.
What is your hobby outside of beer?
Wine.
He goes home and he brews more beer.
So, so if you are brewing beer and you have a beer in a bottle, okay, what would be that like currently distributed beer that you'd most likely to grab or most be appreciative that a friend brought you that people can widely get? Period.
Okay. Well, it's not in a bottle. It's available on draft.
Okay, because it's better on draft, right?
Of course.
Oh, bam. I like that. I like that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Setup. Get that bill away from him too.
I'd be going for probably professional pills from drafting table.
Okay. So your favorite style is still going to be a light, drinkable style. That's kind of where I was trying to go.
It's summertime. It's hot. I crave a bitter beer. We just had.
What about like Bitburger though? Like the German beer, is that too bitter? Is that
It's
too?
almost as good as professional pills.
Wow. Aaron would probably like laud himself on that.
Well, we can ask him in a couple weeks because on October 5th, our 3-year anniversary show coming up,
Three damn years.
Crap.
we will have drafting table on, so we can talk to Mark, Aaron, and Kristen about professional pills.
And the day before my wedding.
The day before your wedding, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna lose pants or
I gotta behave that night.
I don't though, do I?
You're not standing up in the wedding, so
Do I?
I'm not gonna comment on that.
So
Just put a facade up so that Tara doesn't think you're drunk the next day.
can you get like a cardboard cutout, just like put it at the altar and then like party with us?
Yeah, fathead.
No,
Fathead at the
one of
altar?
those, no, one of those like cardboard cutouts that just stands there, it doesn't move, and then you just like kind of roll back in.
But a
and take it out.
fathead just looks more real.
But a fathead doesn't like. You have to stick a fathead to something. You can't like just put a fathead up.
yeah, but they're transferable. You can move them.
But you have to put them to a wall. You can't put Ken on a wall at an altar. I mean, you could, but I mean, Jesus already kind of saying.
You guys got a lot of technology around here. What do they do? That old, didn't they have like a thing where Tupac was on stage?
yeah, the hologram.
Hologram.
The
Bam,
hologram.
there it is.
I don't
Do that.
I don't think these budget's that big.
Hologram Ken at Nick's wedding.
Perfect.
I'll record myself. I'll do the Cotton Eye Joe for you. I'll do
Cotton Eye
the
Joe.
Cupid Shuffle.
So all right, so on.
to hell with that song.
Returning back to the brewer. So I mean, I'm sure everybody's taste changed through the year, but not like right now. Like, I mean, do you go to? I imagine you go ambers in the fall and stouts in the winter, and then back to pilsners in the summer. Like, if you had one
Yeah.
beer to drink the rest of your life, what would it be? Like, if you were deserted on a desert island, I'll even give this to you, Andrus.
You and his islands again.
If you had one beer to drink on a
I was
desert
a big
island,
fan of the TV show Lost.
I guess so.
never
Oh
saw an
no,
episode.
that's a I mean, we talk about that all the time. Like, what's your desert island beer right now? Yeah, for sure.
No, not right now. Like lifetime.
Well, right
Don't
now
give me
for
this-
Lifetime.
I get
Don't
one
give me-
beer for the rest of my days.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
no,
yeah.
you're going to pick a different thing depending on where and when.
Depending on where the island is.
I mean, the
Look
day
at
the
this.
day
If
you
we're in
have to
Alaska,
pick-
if
the
we're in
day you
Arca-
have to pick,
if we're in an Antarctic
stuck with it.
archipelago, I'm gonna pick Guinness, and if we're in like the Caribbean, I'm gonna pick a fucking New England
What's
sour.
with this
And
guy, man?
I know.
I know, man.
Just pick
you
one
have to
beer.
pick- yeah.
Iceland, Greenland. I don't care. Just be on a fucking island and pick a beer.
you guys pick a beer, or as Ken says,
You know what? I'll even give you Australia, even though
kiwi beer.
it's a continent.
I would love it. Oceania, the continent.
Oceania.
So, or we put it this way: if you have one beer in your fridge, and your friend drinks that beer, what beer is it that makes you punch your friend because he drank your last of that beer?
All right, full on Travis punching the dick. We've done the punch in the face, but you already brought out the punch in the dick, so you know.
So, Andres, he's gonna think about it and he's gonna like simmer on it. If you have that perfect beer, that I just got home from work, the wife's yelling at me, the kids are screaming. I get a moment to myself. I want to pop this beer, and it's gone. What is that beer that you like lose it over? Like you burn the house down, you file for divorce. You just like what? You just take out everybody.
Monk's Cafe Flemish Sour.
Okay.
It's actually a really good beer.
It's terrible in a can, by the way, but in a
What?
bottle,
That's in a.
I was gonna
yeah,
say,
they
when have
can't-
you
No, don't
it
do
is
that.
not good
Refill
at
me.
all in a can.
when have you seen that in a can? Where? Here?
Plum Market.
Why?
I don't know
Market.
why.
Wow.
But they got it in a can. And
He
I'm
wants
not a
more?
fan at all. But in a bottle or on draft, it's fabulous. I love that beer.
Dude, I'm gonna throw up.
All right. What about you? What about you?
Probably going to be something along the lines of a pale ale.
Okay, so you like to stay in the yellow beer category, yellowish beer category.
You know, pale ale is more of a copper color.
I don't know.
It is.
It depends.
Should be.
Yeah.
But I say, let's get more of that pontoon ale.
They're there.
Yeah, that's pretty. That beer is actually pretty close.
So okay, is there a beer that you've had in life that
I feel like you've asked
By
the same
the way,
question
by the way,
6
yeah,
times.
I haven't
and
gotten an
every
answer. I haven't
every
gotten an answer.
professional, my wife and I talk about the questions that we hate the most, and this is number one for both of us.
I'm so glad I could like just turn the screws on you then. So come on, give me an
I
answer.
mean, it is a 2-hour show.
What is your favorite beer? Period. Not a dot. Not a.
Do you have
time.
kids?
I don't. God no.
Oh. Because my answer is always, "What's your favorite kid?"
No.
You don't have a favorite kid.
It's always
Fair
the
way to
youngest
put that.
one.
Not a time.
No.
If the house is burning down, who are you running in to grab first? Yeah, that's where it goes. That's where it leads into.
Not a time,
Let's
not
not
a
go into
chance.
that gateway.
If you had to pick a beer, just to drink one beer for the rest of your life, summer, spring, fall.
You could change your answer after the show. Just give him a damn answer.
Well, I'm gonna stick with the pale ale.
Yeah. All right.
But is there a certain pale ale that you would choose? The pontoon pale.
Yeah, I'll drink mine.
There you go.
Wow.
Boom.
Damn.
That's
Hey,
like
at the end of the
ballsy.
day, he brewed it for himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is
It's
ballsy.
it's his beer.
It's his beer.
Hell yeah.
He stands by it.
Is that like is the pale ale kind of when you first started brewing? Is the pale ale kind of something that you kind of stuck with and wanting to try to perfect and make like the perfect one that you kind of gave us today? Or
There were things that I really went at hammer and tongs over the years. Actually, Irish Stout was one of them.
Okay.
I looked back at like batch 100 of homebrew, and like a third of them had
Yes.
been Irish Stout.
Nice. Okay.
So-
All right.
This is your jam.
Was it my
Munich
brother?
Dunkel,
Okay.
Yes.
another favorite that
I think German beers have been lost in the whole beer trade.
I'm
go
just
the right
I'm just gonna
places.
go ahead and take the first sip right now. so-
Rez loves the German beers. At drafting table.
Oh, it's so light and beautiful. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
crystal clear.
What do we got there?
The penny farther.
Oh,
The Berliner aged in gin barrels.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
is that what this?
Give
is
me
that
like a
what this
half
is?
pour.
Yes. Berliner Weiss
I might lose it.
and Mike aged it in a
You
gin
didn't-
barrel for the
You
last
didn't,
couple
you,
months.
didn't, you didn't bring enough for the rest of them.
Now, where'd you guys get the gin barrels from? If you don't mind asking.
Detroit City Distillery.
Very cool. Very
which
cool.
which of the gins? Do you know which gins they poured in here? Because they have like 4 different gins, don't they?
I don't know.
We get a.
Oh my god.
I don't deal with the spirits too much. We actually have a small distiller's license, and we serve.
Oh, you do.
We serve
If
their
you could put this in
spirits private labeled,
Okay.
and we get. What's the name of the gin? I don't even know what they
I
call
honestly couldn't.
it. They have
Yeah.
a barrel aged one, and then they
Yeah.
have a straight gin, and
They actually, I think.
So their
damn.
standards, which is probably what you got, is their railroad gin.
that's okay.
Probably.
As soon as you said the name, I recognized it.
So
don't they have like a shower gin or something?
They got the Peacemaker gin, the Alvathea gin, and the Aberrare gin.
the Peacemaker. I usually get the Peacemaker when I'm in their facility because that's what they like. It takes a lot of flavors in. Because I'm one of those flavor,
To be honest, I'm looking at their menu right now, and definitely a shout out to DCD, great little place over in Eastern
Dude,
Market.
they're amazing.
You can get a flight of all 3 of their gins, 1 ounce pour of each for $12. That ain't a bad price at all.
No, it's not bad at all.
I don't know if I've ever seen I love them. I've been there 3 times now. They had a sushi pop up in there. That would seem like a really weird thing to just have a sushi pop up restaurant.
I mean,
not
I feel like it's safer than some other pop-ups.
But like there wasn't like a fridge or anything like that, so it just like let's just
they
like
had
cut
a really refrigerated truck.
No, it was in.
It was a pop up, not a food truck.
It was.
No, I'm saying if they had the food
they
refrigerated in a truck somewhere.
No, they had it in the facility. They were serving pop up.
And they don't have
sushi.
a refrigerator in the truck in the building?
I'm sure they have a refrigerator.
I would
there.
think they would.
probably just came out. The
I was
fridge.
like, ooh, okay.
Did
Going
you
back-
have some?
Huh?
Did you have some?
No, I was not that brave.
Were the people
I'd rather
around
eat-
you
I would-
running for the doors?
I would rather drink cheese fries, Milwaukee's Best, than pop up
Natural
sushi.
ice.
Natty Ice.
Whatever. It's all the same.
So before we kind of go on, I did want to ask because obviously you were talking to Travis after the whole New England IPA or before the whole New England IPA because we had Travis on episode 61. So that was 85 episodes ago, back in December of 2016. And that day he brought us a seller's bottle of M43.
Salesman sample.
Sample of M43. So we were one of the first people that actually got a chance to try it as my chair went down a little bit. That was weird. Y'all see me just like,
yeah.
You're more on my level now.
This might be my new favorite beer this summer. I'm sorry. This is amazing.
This is
he's talking
really
about the kickstand. What's it called? The gin barrel aged.
So it started out as the regular Berliner Weiss, which is called Penny Farthing. This one is called Penny Farther.
Is this like
This
a
is the one that's aged in the DCD gin
liter of
barrel.
cola or?
No, because what's going to happen is they're going to take it back to DCD. They're going to put a gin in there. Then they're going to bring it back to Kickstand, and then it's going to be penny farthest.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
except
selling-
I think
Stop,
that barrel is
stop.
going
I
to
can only
become
get so
furniture
erect.
now. Actually,
I can only get so erect.
So we had Travis on, and that's the thing is that he was talking, and every time he's come on, he's talked about his true to style roots. Going to Germany and learning how to brew, learning all these things, and then
Central Europe, not just Germany.
Central Europe,
Austria, Hungary,
and you hear all these stories, and then M43 came on a whim of there's no New England IPAs in the state, and Travis kind of was like, all right, let's make one. I don't think he had the foresight of what M43. I don't think anybody had the foresight
no,
of what M43 is now.
No.
but it saved his bacon.
Oh,
ultimately.
I think it changed the
landscape.
M43 changed the landscape of the entire state. Period. End of sentence.
Absolutely.
Did you guys ever make one at Kickstand, or did you hold out the whole time?
I'm happy to say nobody has made me do that.
Okay, because we talked to Dan Riley over at Axel, and that was the thing is that they didn't make it for the longest time, and sooner or later they kind of just got sick of people asking for one. That they made, I think it was called Yesterday's News, as a pun
How
of
appropriately named.
all right, I guess we'll make one.
The best name I've seen was one called Hype Train.
Hype Train.
Hype train.
I'll have to see who made Hype Train. But yeah, we had a New England IPA challenge late last year, and you had, Ascension I think was doing the best thing about it is that they were making the more flavored, fun, not just your standard run of the mill New England IPA because they were doing Spooltorf, they did the Cocoa Puffs one, however you say
Right.
that backwards. So they were making more flavored New England IPAs, and that's Sabo over there, Brandon Sabo, who's doing the brewing because I think Adam's taking more full control of the estate operations. Yeah. As a full owner as opposed to because I remember he was for a while doing the brewing and still doing his photography over there too.
it's good to see. I mean, this is why we're here. We're here to promote the community and the business of beer. You guys brought your beer on, and I remember talking to you at the Summer Beer
I'm gonna
Fest.
drink this beer now.
We're not here to talk about this isn't like a 5-star beer. This isn't a 2-star beer. We're here to talk about the business of beer. We want to know your story. We want to know where you guys come from, and we want to build the community. We don't care. You could be your John's Trailer Beer Company. We want to hear about you. Want to bring on you and support you guys.
Have you guys had this gin barrel aged?
This could be the beer of 2018.
It's
This
a
is-
really
Where's
Bold
it at?
statement.
Can I get
Bam,
some more?
bam.
Oh, never mind. Matt's pouring me more. Oh, yeah.
it's
okay.
No.
it's a really weird
Stand down.
flavor. Like
Stand
I'm
down.
not.
I
It's
mean,
amazing.
This is probably.
As someone who likes gin and Berliner Weisses, like this could be like the.
there are very few gins that I like, and I've yet to walk into DCD and actually have their gin. So this is kind of just getting that off of the barrel and getting that taste. My first time.
So-
We had two
This is-
James.
You got some?
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
two
yeah.
James. Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
two James on, and
Yeah.
they brought us the
are
gin
good dudes, too.
that
Yeah, I like that.
Melt My Brain was brewed in. 'Cause
Yes.
they had
That
the
that wasn't
barrel-aged
bad. That wasn't
Melt
bad
My
at all.
Brain.
But
I don't drink a lot of spirits, but theirs, I toured there, I sampled them. I recall that their gin has a lot of pepper in it, which
Well, so we got to try the
really like.
beer
Yeah.
with the barrel age next to the actual
okay.
gin. I'm not a gin fan.
I love gin.
And
I'm with Ken. I'm
you
not
know,
a gin fan at all.
This is definitely a sipper. This is something if you put in front of me, like I'm gonna drink. Like I don't think it's bad, but it's not something that I'm.
You could
can go
put
out of
this
your
in
way
my
to
face.
get
all
it.
day.
Exactly. It's not like I like Berliner Weisses, but I think it's the gin for me.
Very specific taste.
That I'd probably love the standard beer, the penny
Farthing.
farthing. Gotcha. But yeah, like it's not the gin doesn't make it bad. I think it just gives it. I think it takes away, in my opinion, from the Berliner Weiss. Like I think it takes away from the flavor that I'd look for in that beer. But I mean, it's not bad at all. Like I'm drinking it.
I mean, me personally, I am not a gin drinker at all. I am a vodka, whiskey, scotch.
That's all me whiskey right here.
It's all you right there. That looks like anyway. The, Berliner Weiss.
It's just straight whiskey, the whole glass,
Straight whiskey.
all whiskey.
Oh well, be careful.
Didn't
driving.
mix it.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm kind of like in the middle on the style.
To be honest-
but this right here, if you guys canned this, I would buy. I'd buy a
special release, maybe?
Yeah, if you do a special release
Oh.
canning of this, I
Aged,
would buy this.
aged in oak
This
barrels,
is-
aged in birch barrels. But my two favorite things are if I'm drinking liquor, I'd choose gin. If I pick a beer, I'm gonna pick a Berliner Weiss. This I would run over hot coals and ask. I would.
Can you
intervene-
only imagine what it would be like with hot fries?
I mean, there's still some left in the bag.
Maybe it's because
No.
maybe it's because I just came off hot fries.
We are not tainting this beer with hot fries.
He will leave.
I will walk out of this fucking studio if we do that.
By the way, if I'm not the loser next week and it gets easier than that, I'm gonna protest. But this
You
should
should have drafted a better team.
I did draft a
No,
great
you
team.
didn't. We'll talk later.
Deshaun Watson is just having a head O2
Sophomore slump, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what?
Sophomore slump.
He's gonna be great when the playoffs start because he's gonna be like fighting for a spot.
The Texans are not making no playoffs.
Texans and the Jets. Yeah, no, Texans will be.
The Texans making the
let's
playoffs
get
are the
off
same thing as the
football.
Lions
Let's get off
making an
football.
8-8 record here because they ain't gonna do it. Says
So,
the season ticket holder, by the
what
way.
is coming up for beers at Kickstand? Like, what do you have in the tanks? What do you have that's coming out that's new, or what's coming out for the end of the year? Oktoberfest beers, pumpkin spice latte beer.
Please,
Say,
no.
yeah, we didn't get into that. How about
We're about to let loose a Kolsch,
Oh my god!
which is not an all the time beer, but we keep getting asked about, so we're letting that out. We're a few weeks out on it's a Dunkel's Bach beer, but the name is Hogtoberfest. Reason being that
Bacon's in it.
Close.
no,
Some kind of pork. Close.
Porktoberfest.
When we originally did this beer, we smoked a bag of the base malt on a pig smoker at Slows,
What?
and
You guys are dirty. You guys,
Sold.
you guys dirty.
we released the beer basically the first week of Oktoberfest, so the name kind of came out of that, even though it's a Bach beer. And we've done it every fall since then, and I'm a little bit behind on the release on this, so it's not coming out during Oktoberfest. And also, my friend who was the head chef at Slows has sort of been promoted upstairs, so he's not there day to day and one thing and another. I have smoked malt from a commercial malt stir.
I'm gonna get you for this one, G.
But anyway, we got that coming out. It's just a little smoky. It's mostly just a big brown malty lager beer.
That Hogtoberfest is incredible.
That sounds like that's
out of its mind good.
Ken, are your pants okay?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not an alt beer, so.
have you guys ever made an alt beer?
Yes. I hope to make another one.
And let Ken know.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
you
but
know
say
what,
when
I'll-
you do,
if you need that
let
little,
us know. Can
if
we
you
be
need
the
that
first
little
one there?
push to get into the brewery to make that alt, I have no problem
You know,
coming out there.
it's strictly about when production capacity opens up and when I can get away with it, because I would do it all the time.
Alt the time?
Alt the time.
There's your new. There's your new.
Did I name another beer?
You guys named like 3 or 4 beers tonight.
It
At
does
least.
get tough though, right? You know, like he was just saying how he's a little bit behind on the Hogtoberfest, but I mean, you talk about, our tap room is the restaurant,
Yeah.
not exactly slow. I mean, we're busy all the time there, right?
Oh,
And
what
then
a
the-
bad problem to have.
But,
Yeah, I
but then the
know.
distribution, I mean, that takes up so much tank space. And,
Right.
I mean, the stuff that he has to deal with and how he has to juggle all that, right? He has to meet all these demands. And then he also wants to fulfill these creative urges that he has to do. I don't know how he does
I have
it.
a lot of urges.
And that man,
He's amazing. Like,
Like, I know we're coming. I think we're a little overdoing.
we're way
it,
over break.
But really quickly, how big is the production space at Kickstand? Like how what
the
kind? What's your
brewery itself.
Brew house capacity
Yeah,
or physical space?
brew house capacity?
It's a 15-barrel brew house.
15 barrels.
We've got mostly 30-barrel tanks, so we can double batch. But there's always a balance between
Yep.
making a lot of one thing
Yep.
and making a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah. No, I mean obviously the pale ale, the porter,
Yeah,
home runs.
they get
Yeah.
they get precedence.
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
would-
definitely.
I would bathe in this beer. I'm sorry.
Is that the Berliner? The Berliner? Yeah.
And
That's,
gin?
oh yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if Dan was
agree.
here and there was like a dark beer and like Metallica. Shout out, Dan.
Iron
No,
Maiden.
no.
Wow.
No. What's the orchestra death
orchestra?
metal?
Something wish.
Symphonic death metal. Death Wish.
Death Wish.
Trans-Siberian
Death Wish.
Orchestra.
No.
No, he's more of a
even itchier than
symphonic
that.
metal.
Sorry. He's
No,
It's like symphony with death metal. Symphonic metal.
We
Death
are
Wish.
going to take a quick break. We got segment 3 with
We have a
Matt
game.
Bush,
We have a fun game.
Oh jeez.
You'll all be shut down on this game.
We'll be right back. Better on Draft Podcast. And we are back, episode 147, Better on Draft Podcast. The camera is on. It is good to go. I'm getting the mic set up right now. Matt is, he brought a wheel.
Matt built a wheel?
He built a wheel. Yes, he did build a wheel.
Will Donnelly built a wheel. Will Donnelly's a great man.
Not is he any relation to Al Donnelly?
Yeah, Donnelly for Congress.
Donnelly for Congress.
No, actually, Donnelly for
Donnelly
governor.
for governor.
Yes.
The grassroots campaign.
Yes.
He's more of the black sheep of the family.
I see what you did there. So what we're going to do is, because we have some guests, Matt was explaining the rules a little bit. So there's going to be questions asked, and the answers to the questions are going to involve famous Robs, Matts, Nicks, or Kens in history. With that in mind, with our guests, so we're going to have Anders, and is it Anders? Onders? Is that Andres?
No,
Andrus.
please pay no attention to Bubsy online. It is Andrus, Andris.
Andres. Okay.
He just likes to spell it that way because we had a boss who, for 3 years, couldn't pronounce my name the proper way. So
Did you do radio
Fair.
before getting into beer? I'm just curious. You got a radio voice.
I got a radio face too.
Thanks for taking that, because I was about to step in with that.
And cue the pillow talk.
Damn, son.
So,
Right.
and we'll have you two team up together. So, me and Matt will roll solo. So, Matt's going to ask us a question, and to answer the question, you ring in by saying your name. And once you ring in, you say your name. You either get to spin or pass.
No, so how it's going to work is we're going to spin.
Okay.
This is Calvin Ball.
We're going to spin. And if you think you know the answer to the question, then you say your name.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're right, you win. You get a point, and you get to choose to spin or to keep it.
And every
then-
time it lands on something, we drink. Whoever it lands on.
No, we don't.
Drinks.
No, the thought, this is screw your dealer. So the last person who gets stuck on is the one who has to drink the mystery beer in the middle.
How do we know where the last stick is?
Because we just know that.
Okay.
So-
well, you'll just direct traffic.
Correct. So
It's like, you ever been to a friend's house and he wants to play this game that only he's ever played?
It's Calvin Ball.
What's Calvin Ball? I'm thinking Marsh
Calvin
Gammon.
and Hobbes, Calvin Ball.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
yes.
Rules
So,
are
all right,
rules
so-
are yeah.
so
Is this
Random.
like basketball?
No.
You know what? This is more like
28 months of
baseball.
playoffs.
So, all right, so hold on. So we're gonna decide who spins the wheel by the first question. I was at the Red Wings game last night.
Okay.
Closest to the number you can go over. 24-ounce can of Bud Light was this much. Close to the number wins, gets this first spin. If you go over, that's fine, or if you go under, that's fine as well.
So we'll have everyone guess, and then obviously
Yeah.
the two pairs.
24-ounce.
We'll get two guesses.
A 24-ounce Bud Light at Little Caesars Arena last night cost this much.
So I'll start it at $9.75.
Okay,
This is a can.
24-ounce can of Bud Light.
Oh, 24 ounce,
24.
$11.75.
I'm gonna go 10.50.
Okay, mustache.
Buck an ounce, $24.
Okay, Andrews.
I'll go 11.
11.
Can I go 1176?
Okay, Rob would 11.75.
I said $11.75.
It was 11.25. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So I think did you beat
Calvin
Nick
Ball.
then?
yeah, I'm 50 cents away.
Yeah.
Were you? Were
I was
you
10.50.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's 75. I
so
won.
all right, Ken, you get to spin the wheel.
My guess don't count. I said
What was your?
11.
Oh, he said 11. All right,
Okay,
then there
so
you go.
Andres,
Come
you get
on.
to- you get to
Andres.
spin the wheel. Do you want to try to spin the wheel?
Absolutely.
Spin this wheel.
Which way am I going?
Any way you want.
It's up to you.
Just remember, you land in $1, you win $1,000.
All right,
That's on Ken.
right now,
It is on Ken. That's me.
famous Kens.
Famous Ken's. Oh, so I get a question about people with my name.
No, this
Fam-
is where
no,
this is
it's-
where the question comes.
Oh,
in.
this is where the
Oh,
question
all right.
comes.
Famous
in.
Okay.
Ken.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay.
First Ken is know when to hold them, know when to fold
Rob.
them. Rob.
That would be Kenny Loggins.
No, that was
Nick,
you were incorrect.
Nick,
Oh, son of a
Nick.
bitch!
Kenny Rogers.
That is
Damn it!
correct.
I knew it. Kenny
you like
Loggins. I know.
Come on, Danger Zone.
Footloose.
I knew it was a can.
So
Anyway.
the question is, you can either spin or keep it. You don't have to. So right now, Ken is going to drink the bad beer, or
I want. Oh, Ken gets to drink it.
Ken gets the stuck with the mystery beer currently because he's the face on it.
He's kind of put my bachelor party together, so I'm gonna spin.
So spin. Go ahead and
I'm
spin.
gonna give him the one. I'm gonna give him the one furlough here.
So is it like everyone? If you get picked, do you have to drink a sip, or do you have to just drink the whole thing?
It's yours.
It's me. Okay, shit.
Famous Nicks.
Famous next.
All right.
The first Nick is this Coppola stole our heart, and then the Declaration of Independence.
Rob.
Rob,
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
Ah, shit.
All right, Rob. Would you? It's currently on Nick. Would you like to spin, or would you like to keep it there?
We can keep it there.
All right.
Oh crap.
Nick number 2 is last year's Super Bowl MVP.
Nick.
Correct.
I was going to say the name of the person, and then I'm like, shit, I can't say.
I'm spinning.
All right. Nick, go ahead and Nick and spin.
I was just like, Nick. I'm like, wait a
Right,
minute.
right.
I'm Ken.
Rob.
It's on Rob.
Famous Robs.
Oh goodness.
The first one is Danny Tanner.
Danny Tanner.
Rob.
Say,
Rob. God damn it. Bob Saget.
Bob
Oh, God damn
Saget. Correct.
All I kept thinking was Entourage in that scene when he's got the poorhouse next door and all that.
so I think
I couldn't think of
Are you
Rob's
going to keep it
spin.
with Robs? Or are you going to spin?
I'm gonna spin.
Do you want to come spin?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
you son of a bitch.
It's on Nick.
Famous
it.
Knicks.
I knew
Back
it.
to Knicks.
Suck.
He did that on purpose,
I know
obviously.
we did.
The
Backwards without being able to see it.
Yeah.
the Parks Department Director Ron Swanson.
Rob.
Nick.
That would be Nick Offerman.
That is correct.
Crap.
Would you be spinning or
We are
keeping?
not good
We
at this
can
game,
keep it on
guys.
that.
Okay.
Fuck you.
Number
Rob.
4 of Nick. This man wrote The Notebook and other girly novels.
Rob.
Rob.
That would be Nicholas Sparks.
Okay, now you have to spin.
You suck, dude.
You're making up.
I'm a
Kenny
fucking
Loggins
trivia
thing.
host, asshole.
I was a trivia host
Oh, we lost.
for longer than
Oh, we
you.
lost the peg.
That's fine. Oh, that's Ken. That's
Ken.
Ken. It's a famous Ken, right?
Famous Ken. There aren't that many famous Kens.
Kenneth Branagh.
Actually, according to Ranker.com, there are a lot of famous Kens.
Oh, okay.
Number 2,
Ken
the
Ken.
Gopher song in Caddyshack.
Rob,
Ken, damn it.
Rob.
that would be Kenny Loggins.
I'm
Are you
alright.
Are you gonna,
Feel better now?
Oh,
I
man.
feel so much better
are
now.
you keeping or spinning?
I
Rob?
cannot believe I said that shit in the beginning.
He's
I'm so
keeping.
fucking stupid.
Rob, are you
No,
keeping or
I'm
spinning?
keeping it. I'm keeping
All
it.
right. The next is Leslie Chow.
Ken Jeong.
Yes.
Damn.
Would you like to keep or spin?
We're spinning.
All right.
We're spinning here.
We haven't gotten any mats yet.
I look very rapey in my photo.
Back to Ken's.
Oh, this isn't good for me, guys.
All right. The most famous documentarian.
Ken.
Oh,
Ken
damn it.
Burns.
Ken Burns.
Burns.
Ken, wait, what did he do?
Oh,
Baseball,
everything. Baseball,
the
war, everything.
Wait, which one is
Let's
me?
not forget Prohibition.
That's for Prohibition.
I don't even know. Oh, okay, I did it.
I hit
You
myself
don't know how to
again.
spin.
All right, number 5. The main event anchor on ESPN.
Rob.
Nick.
Rob.
Is that Kenny Mayne?
Kenny Mayne.
Damn it.
We have shut the Kens down.
Oh, so I have to spin
You
that.
kind of have to spin.
All right, all right. Good Lord.
Watch, is gonna land on me again.
Motherfucker.
Did it seriously land on
It
him?
landed on
Rob,
me.
it's on Rob.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, okay.
All right, whatever.
Sure, why not?
I'll take it.
This man has the best new addition.
Nick. Bobby Brown.
Correct.
Oh, damn it.
What?
Are you spinning or are you
what-
keeping?
Yeah, we'll spin. Why not?
See, this is what happens when I hate when people fucking call me Bob, because I don't relate the two.
No, I'm not. My brain doesn't work that way.
No.
But you got Bob Saget though.
There we go.
I did.
Now we're
I know.
on,
I was like, it's the dude who
It's
did
on
the
Rob.
voiceover of
That's on
How I
Rob.
Met Your Mother.
all right, now we're on Rob legitimately.
All right, okay.
Wait, now Matt's
Matt's
cheating.
Matt's cheating.
Let's try to burn one, okay?
All right, so
Matt, I
the
think you
wheel
need.
says no.
Wow.
Well, no wonder why I was always getting picked. It's weighted. It's weighted on me.
All right, Rob, number 3.
All right.
Are you out already?
Yep.
Vocalist lead of Led Zeppelin.
Rob,
Rob,
that would be Robert Page.
you are incorrect.
No. Say your name. Get in there.
Oh,
See,
I don't-
God damn it, I did it again!
Say your name. Come on, ring in.
Robert Plant.
Yes.
Ah,
Go ahead and spin.
What?
go ahead, spin the wheel.
I thought it was
There we go.
No. You're with Nick. You're trying to make sure Nick doesn't drk, and you just got it.
I don't want to drink. I gotta get up and. What are you doing?
I'm trying to make this even because there's no more Nick. There's no more Ken questions.
But it's on me.
I'm
I was
still,
gonna give it a Matt question.
I'm still
Alright,
sitting here
fine,
wondering who the hell Robert Page is.
All right, we're on.
Robert Page.
Plant and Jimmy Page.
I was gonna say Jimmy Page.
Exactly.
All right, we're gonna play first Matt's.
Oh my God, Matt.
All right.
Rob.
Nick.
Nick.
Matthew McConaughey.
All right. Are we gonna keep it or are we gonna?
We'll keep it.
Keep
All
it.
right. Number 2. Do you like apples?
Ken. Matt Damon.
Yes. Keep or spin.
Keep it.
Number 4. Michigan native. One of the killers in the original Scream.
Oh,
Nick.
Nick.
Matthew Lillard.
Correct.
Yes, that's
Wow.
right.
Holy
Nick,
shit.
keep or
That's
keep or
right.
spin.
Keep.
All right. Creator of The Simpsons.
Nick.
Nick.
Matt Groening.
Yep.
Yep.
Correct. You have to spin now because you
Okay.
kept twice.
What's left?
Keep going.
Rob and Nick.
And this weighted wheel that
Weighted wheel. It's gonna be. No, it's actually gonna land on
It's
Rob.
Rob.
Legitimately. Okay. All right.
As that it falls down.
You're gonna have to fix this before
Jake
Beer
Carpenter
Fest.
that
Definitely.
did this
The
shit.
Raging Bull.
Nick.
oh damn it.
Robert De Niro.
Correct. Run or spin.
Keep.
All right. Number 5. Robert Allen Zimmerman
Rob.
is best known as.
Bob Dylan.
Correct. Rob, it's your.
I think all we have left is Nick's.
No, hold on. There are 2 left.
Tired of these music questions. Keep
The
fucking
loser
them
is
up.
the loser is going to be either me or Nick.
It's closest to me, so we'll just do me. I'll call it, whatever.
All right. Rodney Ruxin and the main character of Big Mouth.
What?
Oh, I never seen Big. Where's Angela when you need her?
Angela was watching the show
Rodney
earlier.
Ruxin in The League and the character of Big Mouth.
Do you guys ever see Big Mouth on Netflix?
Nope.
No.
You ever see The League on whatever channel it's on?
I had
FX?
frat
I know
brothers that
about it,
watched
never
it.
watched it.
Why am I so loud? Can you
Spin
hear
it!
me?
Because you were so quiet at
Yeah, I
one point.
know.
All right, last one.
So whoever gets this one
This
decides
is
who
on Rob.
drinks.
This is on Rob.
Last question possible.
What's the
This
category?
man, it's Famous Matt's.
Famous
Matt,
Matt's.
okay.
Won a $28 million contract, killing the Lions in Week 17.
Nick. Matthew Stafford.
No.
Wow. Ken.
Lying.
Matt Floyd.
No.
Wait, what was it? Read the question
Won a
again.
It's the
$28 million
Green Bay
contract,
quarterback.
killing the
Oh,
Lions.
I know
in
it now.
You're done.
I know it.
Won a
Oh,
$28
not
million
Floyd, it's-
contract,
I
killing
know
the
it.
Lions in Week 17.
Would
Famous
that-
Matt.
Would that be Matt Ryan?
No, I know.
I don't know.
It's Matt Flynn.
It is Matt Flynn.
Oh,
so
Matt Flynn.
I'm going to do this, and the loser.
The loser.
Oh, it's gonna.
I wonder if it's going to
So
be
the questions
me.
didn't even matter?
It's Matt.
It's you.
It's Matt.
No, wait.
No, that's
it's
Matt.
going back
It's going back to Ken. It's
Ken.
always going back to Ken.
Yeah, it's Ken.
No, it's back to Rob.
No, that's totally Ken.
That's
And the
that's
loser
Ken.
is.
A Long Island iced tea from TGI Fridays.
Oh, goodness.
Long Island iced tea, TGI Fridays.
Have you guys ever thought of making them alternative over at
I'm
Kickstand?
alternative.
Ooh, he's shaking.
He just gave you the look.
That's worse
There you go,
that's
Ken,
worse
enjoy.
than even an IPA right there.
This may have too many carbs, guys. At 10%. I'll have to save it for another day.
Whether hops are bitter or not isn't really a thing.
But
because
my thought is like you have your Centennial hops, your Mosaic hops, your Citra hops that are overly bitter, and people are bringing beers down.
that's not how that works when you're brewing. You set a target. The beer will be so many bittering units, and that determines the hop rate that you use to get there. So if you have hops that have 5% alpha acid, which is the primary bittering substance, then you might use twice as much to get a beer of a particular bitterness than you would of, say, Centennial, which has typically 10% of this alpha acid in it. You just use half as much. The relative bitterness of the different hop varieties isn't actually a factor at all.
But I was trying to say that like if you can find a hop that is only slightly bitter, it lends better than to a pale ale or to a. I guess our premise here is gateway beers, like trying to get from an IPA to a imperial IPA or a stout to an imperial stout. Like I mean, again, I started drinking beer a couple years ago that was like fancy beer. I still have like, I still bought a 12-pack Busch Light like 3 days ago.
Of course.
So
I had Corona on the boat 2 days ago.
So the thought is like, when we're talking about slightly less bitter hops, we're talking about there are certain hops that give off less of that hoppy, piney flavor, and that are better for IPAs than hops that are better for pale ales because they give off less. They're less flavorful. Maybe they're more palatable. Just talking about it.
I don't know if there was a question there.
It's those are words.
So here, let me.
From a brewer's perspective, I mean, you're feeling part of the elephant. You know what I'm saying? Like the blind men and the elephant, and like it's a wall. No, it's a brush.
That's a penis.
I muted you because we're about to head out. But I want to ask. I want to ask you one quick question because obviously it's something that I'm curious about, and you're very knowledgeable. Oh no, you're unmuted. I muted them. Fuck them.
Oh. These are warm.
So For me, obviously, I look at IBUs, but I don't correlate IBUs to how much bitterness is in the beer. How would
that's a good observation because it's not the ultimate measure of how bitter. It's a measure of how much of a bittering compound is in the beer. But if you have Bud Light, a Bud Light type beer, and you put 50 BUs in it, it's going to cross your eyes with the bitterness. But if you put 50 BUs into, for instance, the porter that we were drinking, which is already in the neighborhood of about 30 BUs, another 20 BUs, it would still be a pretty rich chocolatey beer with maybe a little bit more tilt towards bitter chocolate. So it's partly about like the heft of the beer. So BUs are merely, it's one factor.
So why would a brewery or a bar talk about IBUs in regards to beer when, like, for me, like the big thing I think of is I think of 120 from Dogfish Head, which is a high IBU, but it's not very, I'm hearing music.
It's also super high gravity.
So how would I go trying to coast from a brewery looking at these IBUs? Like, how do I decide what is going to be a super bitter beer or a super bitter IPA versus a non-bitter IPA?
Yeah, again, it's kind of like you go in a brewery and they say this is our porter, and you really. Okay, but the only thing you really know is it's probably going to be really dark brown, but it might be pretty bitter. It might be pretty sweet. So it's just like one little piece of the puzzle. So the BUs they only tell you so much in the same way.
So you're just more reliant on what the brewer, the bartender, the manager says in regards to what the beer is.
Yeah, best thing is if there's just even a short description of the beer. That's what I try, and every description I write for the beer, I try and, like the executive summary, as short as I can make it.
The 20-second elevator pitch.
Yeah. What's it going to make you feel like when you drink it?
Right.
So sometimes the description is a little dopey. Like I made a strong Scottish ale. Wee heavy, and the description is like getting hit by a cannonball made out of malt.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
So before we go, obviously, I want to give a shout out because we talked about Drafting Table earlier.
Yes.
Their Scottish ale that they just came out, it's Lock and Loaded, I think is what it's called.
Oh, that's a strong name.
I haven't had it yet.
I like that name.
So I ran into Kristen over at Drafting Table, and as much as I tried to tell her I'm not drinking beer, she still gave me a sample.
That's going to happen.
It was an amazing beer. And I know it's on tap over at Maze in Ypsilanti. So if anybody's over in the Ypsilanti area, go check Maze out. They also have a happy hour where you can get 24-ounce M43 for like $3.
Damn.
So if you're an M43 drinker and you're looking to get tanked,
Head on to Depot Town.
in Depot Town.
Must be downriver.
No, Depot Town. It's in
Drafting
Ypsilanti.
Table. I'm going there early tomorrow afternoon when they open. I'm actually what we were talking about earlier with the whole dog friendly thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually dog sitting for the next month, and I'm real excited to have a dog. But I'm also real excited to drink beer. So I'm gonna take that dog to that patio, and I'm gonna drink beer tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shout out to Drafting Table over there, Aaron and Kristen. Kickstand, once again, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day.
You guys have been
Coming out
awesome.
tonight.
Thank you so much for bringing all this delicious beer. You can find it in stores as well as at Kickstand over in Commerce Township. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for coming. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Better on draft. Have a good night.
Peace.
What was that, Rob? Let's try that one more time. Have a good night.
Peace.
Peace.